Hey there, race fans. It's Race Day, Top 5 with me, Frank 5. What a speed weeks we have had so far. The big race, the Daytona 500, is tomorrow. But holy cow, these last few events, Thursday night, Friday night, today, oh my goodness, this might be the best speed weeks I have ever seen in my life. The action and the fun has been incredible. Let's talk about what has happened these last couple of events. Number one, the Bluegreen Vacations Duel at Daytona happened Thursday night to set the field for the Daytona 500, and we're going to talk about Duel 1 first in this first discussion topic. Joey Logano, one of the favorites to win the Daytona 500 and the 2015 winner of the Great American Race, captured another duel victory, winning the first duel Thursday night, setting himself in the third position for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. And Joey Logano had a fast car from the get-go, trying to pull topside with his Ford buddies right behind him. And towards the very end, on the white flag lap, a tandem draft with Eric Almirola on his back bumper catapulted him right into the lead, and he held control from the backstretch all the way off of turn number 4 and to the checkered flag to start third for the Great American Race. I mean, that just shows you how good these Fords are when they tandem together and they can work their way past a group of cars. And then obviously they fall back into the clutches when they have to get off the bumper, because you don't want to bump draft and lock bumpers in the corners, but you could do it on the straightaways. But those two just absolutely pulled away from the pack, fell behind, did Almirola, and Joey Logano held off everybody, and he captured a duel victory. And the other good thing about the first duel, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's on the pole for the Great American Race tomorrow, had to learn this race, how his car is going to handle in the draft, because obviously they set up their car for qualifying, and obviously it's an impound race, and you have to make a lot of adjustments for the races. Stenhouse actually did a really good job. Ran up in the front, led a lot of laps, settled in for an 8th place finish, which, the top 10 scored stage points that'll carry over for Sunday's result tomorrow. And Stenhouse took care of the car, which is the most important thing, because if he wrecked the car, he would be starting tail end Charlie of the field, because, if you switch to a backup car, you have to go to the rear of the Daytona 500 field. But Stenhouse kept it clean. Chase kept it clean too in the first duel. We had a good car, fell back to 13th. We'll start 25th, but we'll be up at the front tomorrow, I guarantee it. But Joey Logano has shown already with Duel 1 victory that he's going to be a favorite for the Great American Race tomorrow. Duel number 2, completed with a pretty interesting battle between Chevy versus a Ford, working with a couple of Toyotas. A lot of Chevys in Duel 2 compared to Duel number 1. A lot of strong Chevys, I might add. And William Byron, with a push from Jimmy Johnson in his final NASCAR Cup Series season, rocketed to the front of the last lap down the back straightaway, and William Byron held off the field to get his first ever duel victory. And it's not really a points victory for William Byron, but it's the beginning of something. The guy has not been to victory lane yet in a cup car. This is not a points race, but it's the beginning. And I think William Byron can get to victory lane this year. And boy, did his car look fast in the draft. I mean, he could lead a pack. He could draft behind a lot of these guys. I mean, he just absolutely executed this race perfectly. It seemed like it was in control for Kevin Harvick for the majority of the race until a caution came out, and I'll talk about that in my next segment. And he just didn't pit like everybody else did. And the Chevys, who had a couple of fresh tires, just gained up on Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch and drop kicked them in mid-pack, and they didn't get really the best of finishes. Well, Harvick did. He starts 10th for the Daytona 500, but Kyle starts back in the 24th to 26th to 28th spot. I mean, he starts mid-pack, but he should be up front tomorrow, guaranteed. But the Hendrick cars, finishing 1-2 in that race, shows that they have some speed for the Great American Race tomorrow. Number 3, drivers making the race versus drivers missing the race. Talk about duel number 1. Reed Sorensen made the Daytona 500 courtesy of Justin Haley, who was already locked into the Daytona 500 field. He could advance his position by finishing in one of the transfer spots, and that would elevate the next car in line on speed to get into the show, and it was Reed Sorensen, and he is in the Daytona 500. Duel number 2, Timmy Hill from Maryland. And as a racing fan from Maryland, I'm so happy for Timmy Hill. Came down driving for Carl Long's team, Motorsport Built Management Racing, and with a strong Roush Yates engine in qualifying, got him the 4th fastest time as far as the teams not locked into the 500, and actually drove really well in his duel. Ran up in the middle of the pack, got up to the top 10 at one point, was in a battle with a couple of guys to make the show, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But Timmy Hill is in the Daytona 500 tomorrow, and I'm so happy to see him, and he is representing the state of Maryland in the Great American Race, and I couldn't be happier. While those two are in the Daytona 500, sadly, 3 cars have to go home. Chad Fincham driving a second Carl-Long car. J.J. Yaley, who was in a transfer spot, it seemed to be at the moment, until down the back straightaway in the end of Duel 2, he got turned to the ball by Corey LaJoie because maybe the spotter didn't know that LaJoie was there while he was trying to make a pass. and he ended up going into the wall, and he fell out of the Daytona 500. But the biggest notable not making the Daytona 500, and I'm still shocked and a little upset, is Daniel Suarez for Gaunt Brothers Racing that's going to run the full season. It looked like Suarez in duel number 1 was in a position to make the Great American Race, but controversy and disaster struck. Off of turn number 4, while Suarez had just completed his pit stop, the Fords had yet to stop, and while they were coming to pit road, Ryan Blaney, who was locked into the race, apparently didn't communicate with the other 4 drivers that they were coming in at the same time, and he ducked too little too late and clipped Suarez into the wall, sending him out of the Great American Race. It's really sad that Suarez isn't in it, and I'm really upset for him, but he can hopefully rebound the next few races and just get in the top 30 in points. I mean, I didn't expect Suarez to win a race this year, but I truly expected him to make the Great American Race. Sadly, that is not the case, and he'll just have to go get him next weekend in Las Vegas. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, he still has a good career ahead of him, with hopefully a good ride opening up down the road for him. So Suarez will miss the race with Yaley and Fincham, but Suarez and those guys will rebound hopefully next week in Las Vegas, as I mentioned. Number 4, the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series opener at Daytona last night. Oh, I was literally screaming my life. That was an incredible finish. Grant Enfinger, last year's regular season champ, who had crappy luck in the playoffs and didn't advance on the round of 8, started the season by winning the opener at Daytona by 1/100th of a second over Jordan Anderson in his own truck for the win at Daytona. That was an incredible finish. I mean, what a competitive race. The trucks were all over the place. They didn't start wrecking until the very end when Ben Rhodes, battling for the lead with his teammate Grant Enfinger, got around in the middle of 1 and 2, taking out guys like his teammate Johnny Sauter, Tyler Ankrum, Zane Smith, Stuart Friesen. A lot of competitive trucks that were up front battling for the lead the entire night. Fell behind, got in that big wreck, and, that's a product of this racing, restrictor plate racing for the truck series I'm at as well, the Xfinity series. But Grant Enfinger, door slamming Jordan Anderson coming to the start-finish line and pulling down just a little bit coming to the start-finish line and winning the race. You couldn't have asked for a better start to the season. I mean, Grant Enfinger winning. Jordan Anderson in his interview, by the way, was amazing for a team that he runs and drives for, and he doesn't even run up front with these guys most often, except for super speedways. This was huge. Cody Robar finished 3rd, and he spun in the middle of the race. Derek Krause, one of the rookie contenders, and Natalie Decker got the best finish for women in the NASCAR Truck Series. And all the people that said, "Oh, Natalie Decker crashes, she can't drive," they can put those comments aside because she drove her butt off in last night's race. What a competitive night. My guy, Matt Crossan, defending truck champ, got involved in that wreck towards the end and settled for a 15th place finish. We finished the race. We'll rebound next week. And with this Truck Series season, as competitive as it is, we are in for a great year for these trucks this year. And Grant Enfinger got the season off to a great start with that amazing finish last night. And number 5, the Xfinity Series today. Last year, it was perhaps one of the most boring opening races at Daytona for the Xfinity Series I'd ever seen because they all ran up top the entire day and nobody passed. Today, there was passing, and there were some cars that were out of control as far as handling and the bump drafting is concerned. A very competitive race. Junior Motorsports always up front at Daytona. Justin Allgaier, one of the greatest drivers in the Xfinity Series and on the super speedways, ran up front. He won stage 2. Jeff Burton, driving for Junior Motorsports in a couple of races, won stage 1. We saw Fords working together. We saw rookies working together and a lot of guys working together. Some contenders taking down some big wrecks, but it was all said and done. One of my Xfinity guys, Noah Gragson, captured his first win, winning the NASCAR Racing Experience 300 opener at Daytona for the Xfinity Series today, winning it over Harrison Burton, one of the rookies, Timmy Hill, the same Timmy Hill that's in the 500 tomorrow, Brandon Jones, and Chase Briscoe. And what a job Noah Gragson did. He was in a position on one of the late restarts to win the race with about 6 laps to go. Then Chase Briscoe got a good run off of turn 2, passed him to the inside, but Gragson was able to keep up with him, and then they started wrecking behind him with his teammate Jeff Burton and Penske's Austin Cindric and a lot of other guys. And Gragson got a great restart on that last restart of the race and was able to hold off a rookie contender that should be a factor this year in Harrison Burton, and a lot of underfunded guys and a lot of guys that you expect to run up front to get his first win. And I gotta tell you, this Noah Gragson kid is quite the character. I mean, he he's pretty animated in a good way. Like, he's got a lot of energy in him. He's got good enthusiasm. He's got a good sense of humor. I mean, his social media has been pretty funny over the last couple of years, especially that one time Bristol where he had a shark over his head. It was a costume head, obviously, but that was some good stuff. And I am really happy for Noah Gragson. He's locked himself into the playoffs. 12 drivers, obviously, from the Xfinity Series get into the playoffs this year, and he is the first driver to clinch his spot. And he's sending out this year to prove to everybody that last year was a down year, but this year is a much better season for him and his crew chief, Dave Allens. And by the way, the 7th different junior motorsports driver to win at Daytona. Just incredible. Just incredible. Noah Gragson is in for a very solid season, and I think this is going to be a great year for the Xfinity Series all around. Well, those are out of the way. Tomorrow, the 62nd running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. 40 of the world's greatest stock car drivers will be competing for the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Will it be our surprise pole sitter Ricky Stenhouse Jr.? Will it be Jimmy Johnson in his final Daytona 500? Will the Fords team up together and work together? How will the Chevys fare with Johnson and Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Byron, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson? Or will Kyle Busch, our defending Cup champion, finally get that last crown jewel that he is still searching for the Daytona 500? We shall see tomorrow. We are probably setting up for what should be the greatest Daytona 500 we've ever seen in our lives, folks. Get ready. I cannot wait. Subscribe, like. Congrats to Noah Gragson and Grant Enfinger winning their openers in the Xfinity and Truck Series. And the Cup Series starts tomorrow with the Daytona 500. I can't wait. Are you ready?